All right, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast, the podcast where we have real organic conversations with real people about real topics. Today, we got a very special topic, a topic our community doesn't talk about enough, and that is building wealth. Before we jump into it, we're just gonna introduce everybody on the line today. My name is Lanston, AKA LT. We got Marcus Shaw here, AKA Pancho. We got my boy John Youboty here. He's a special guest for us today. Guap, AKA Cash Flow King. So we got him in the building today. So say some words for the people so they know who you are.
As Lanston just stated, my name is John Youboty. Entrepreneur, work for myself. Don't have a specific line of interest, just whatever can make some cash, keeps me flexible.
You're gonna do it.
Yeah,
Hey,
much.
we're gonna break it down today. I think it's a good group just because as he mentioned, I'm a corporate guy, but I got my little thing on the side. We got Marcus here, who's a serial entrepreneur, and then we got the Cash Flow King here, who's a little bit of both, because you got your little hustle job, a little corporate type job, but at the same time, you got all these different streams of revenue. So it's gonna be a robust, good conversation, man. So I'm excited to talk about it. So let's talk about building wealth, man. It's something our community, we don't talk about much. Why is it important to talk about, and why is it a necessary conversation to have?
It's necessary because we don't talk about it. We haven't been talking about it. And now we're just wealth is coming to the forefront. And in particularly Black people in our community, we're not talking about it at all. And now I'm happy to see people talk about it, man, because it gives you, not you, but your family a head start. And what we always talk about is our legacy is always bigger than us. We're trying to change generations' lives, and that's where wealth comes in. And it's not just about being rich, because rich is just in the moment. You want to be wealthy enough to change your whole legacy.
Right. Any thoughts, Youboty, on why it's important and why we don't bring it up? And
Well, just piggyback off what Marcus said, this conversation is not held nearly close enough within our communities. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, those demographics that are flourishing in this great country have those conversations from the inception of their kids being born all the way up to the end of adolescence. They're going over principles, 4 and 8 books for them to read. It's not a topic or that's left to chance within those communities. And it's something that definitely needs to gravitate over to our communities. And that's number one, we're really going to see change. So.
Bro, I couldn't have said it any better myself, man. We're going to break down all of that. So the way I think about this is when we talk about wealth, the way I think about it is you got your primary income. You got your secondary income, your third, fourth income, et cetera, in your retirement. So for me, I'm a 9-to-5 type guy. I know a lot of people say 9 to 5 isn't good. You're working for the man. But for me, I got my primary income, which is my base salary. And so for me, when I look at my base salary, that pays all my bills. That's going to be the thing that's going to pay my mortgage, the cell phone bill, et cetera. But with that, I also try to take a portion of that and save that and put that into savings. So that's normal stuff, nothing too complicated. But for me, when I think of primary income, that's what I think about. And so that's how I look at it on the corporate side. But for someone like you, who's a business owner, what do you consider your primary income, and how do you think about it?
So I want to piggyback off of you of being a 9-to-5. Nothing wrong with being a 9-to-5.
That's a conversation we need to have.
Yeah,
maybe we should have that. Is something wrong with the 9-to-5?
Nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5. The problem with the 9-to-5 is when you're working for the job and the job is working you.
Right.
When you have his mindset, it's not like that. He's making the job work for him. He's gaining knowledge from that job. And with that knowledge that he's gained, he's putting that in other areas of his life. He doesn't feel like he's bogged down from his 9-to-5.
Right.
The issue with the 9-to-5 always comes down when you're just not feeling full and fulfilled. If that's the case, just find a different 9-to-5. Stop being stuck in that 9-to-5.
Yeah. I think, man, you hit on it because I love my 9-to-5.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a 9-to-5. I got flexible hours, can do what I need to do. But for me, I learned so much. I'm learning from the man.
Right.
I'm learning from it for free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're taking care of me a little bit. So for me, I got a strategy, and we'll talk about when we talk about our second, third, fourth stream of income. Mm-hmm. That's where, I don't have to be limited to just working a 9-to-5. I can still have my own by using my 9-to-5 as a venue to be able, to pay for the other stuff. So I can then get some more money working for me, and then I can make more and more investments. So you kind of have a 9-to-5, but you're a business owner.
Right.
So break down what you think about as your primary income and kind of how you look at it.
So as a business owner, a moving company, and that is my primary income. But I use that income to feed all the other different avenues that I want to do, all the little different dreams and stuff that I truly had. That the moving piece was just a vehicle to get me to where I want to go. If you get what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. So I think of my moving company as the bank. That is my bank, and then I use that stream, and no different than a 9 to 5 as being your bank.
Right.
I'm using that as my bank. It's just a little bit more freedom for me to make decisions on a day-to-day business for myself personally. And then with that, I use that I do credit repair. I got e-commerce. There's a lot of different stocks. There's a lot of other different avenues that I want to do using my moving company as my bank.
Man, my question is it hard to start your own business? Like start a legit business? One thing to have like investment stocks, things like that, but starting your own business where you have employees, how challenging was that?
It's not hard to start. It's hard to sustain. That's the problem.
Gotcha.
Anybody can go out and start a business. It's the research and the development and the processes that you have to get down to sustain within your business. That's the hardest part.
Right.
That's what gets you in my industry and a lot of people's industry. It's always people. People is going to be your hardest thing that you have to deal with in a situation. People and money. Like if you don't have enough money to build and grow, that'll make you frustrated. But you need the people to get there. So the base of it is the people. Gotcha. People in training for sure.
I hear it all the time, so I'm with you, man. Finding that human capital, finding people who always going to be there for you. I mean, that's the challenge of starting your own business. But
the key is getting them to buy in to your company the way you're bought into your company. It's hard to make people love it the way you do. Sometimes you got to take yourself out of it and understand that this is not their company. Exactly. They're not going to think about it the same way you do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't really judge them off of that. You got to put them on a different platform when you're doing that. That was what was hard for me to begin with. Yeah. Like, you don't understand this? It's like, no, this is not me. I'm just working for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to pour into them so that they learn to love your company the way you do.
Youboty, man, the cash flow king, man. You know what I'm saying? You got so many different streams of income, but talk to us what your thought process is as far as your primary income and how you utilize that income.
My primary income, it rotates from time to time, kind of like what Marcus was saying. You want to have that cash flow generator that you can count on a consistent basis to, pump into other directions, to snowball into self-efficient machines of their own. Yeah. So for me personally, I wholesale real estate. I was working for a company called New Western Acquisitions in Houston. They're the preeminent by far wholesaling firm in Houston.
Okay.
It would be equivalent to working for like Amazon or Mercedes-Benz, like they're preeminent cop in the industry. So I was new going into there. That was never a long-term or end-all be-all route for me, but I did know being in there, the people I would meet with, seeing the paradigm that they have that allows that organization to function in the manner that it does is going to be, I can't quantify the significance or how it's going to roll over to my personal pursuits and the entire long journey of this business gauntlet that we're pursuing. So
so you hit on a good point, man, because it's the generator. It's the big thing that pays the bills. It gets you the opportunities to have that second, third, fourth revenue, but at the same time, it's the experience too, is what it sounds like. That primary income or whatever it may be is invaluable to get that experience. So that's our primary income, and then we have our secondary income. So for me, when I think about mine, I work in a biotech company, so I got my base salary, then I have the option for commission and bonuses. So, commission bonuses, it ebbs and flows. It's never the same every year. So for me, that is my second stream of income. How much effort I put in it, how well I do, is going to depend on how much money I get. So for me, that I do look at that as my secondary income. And so with that, those are the things where, I can double and get equivalent to my base with my commission. And instead of using my commissions on, paying for bills and things like that, that's where I then invest that into stocks, real estate, things of that nature. So it kind of works for me, kind of where I have different moving parts where you have your primary, your base salary, you got your commission, use your commission to get the real estate and the stocks. And then even with my company, if you're a high performer, then they actually give you stocks. So, that's kind of my way of just having a diverse portfolio. So my secondary income, really stocks, commission, bonuses, those are the things that I have. And I feed that into my other portfolio and put more into my portfolio that way.
My secondary would be stocks.
Okay.
I
Stocks.
put a lot of my money into stocks just because of where we are right now in the U.S. and our economic situation right now. I just feel like it's very advantageous of us to put money into the stock market just because of the cheap prices that you're getting right now. Like a lot of these companies are very, very cheap at what they would be if it wasn't for the virus that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like we're still dealing with those effects right now. So that's definitely my secondary would definitely be to pour into stocks. It's cool that you're able to pour in your stocks and then you can also double down on the company stocks.
Right.
Too.
Exactly.
Like that's like amazing. That's another thing. Don't miss out on them 9-to-5s, man. The 401ks and the IRAs and those type of benefits, man. Take advantage of that stuff. If they matching you, make sure you double up on that, man.
Right.
It's free.
It's free money. It's free money. We don't talk about it. Like, we'll break it down.
Well, I would go when I used to be in a 9-to-5. I was always taught like that was a scam, like 401ks. They just taking your money. You know what I'm saying? No point in giving them no money. It's not doing nothing for you. But that's not the truth at all. Man.
Yeah, it's not the case. But you just want to educate yourself because you don't want to get yourself in a 401k where they're going to have these high fees when you take the money out.
That's true.
So
that's true. Yeah.
So it's all the strategicness and thinking about it. And you learn that along the way, but just by having conversations like this, you know what I'm saying? Like someone may say, I had a family member that thought 401k was a scheme. So break it down. It's not a scheme, especially if you have someone matching you dollar for dollar. And then you can invest in the stocks, and then you can put it in the mutual funds or whatever that you want. Just as long as it's not these high fees, you're going to come out on top. So I think just having that education about it is a big thing. But if anything else, if you got an option for a 401k match, got to do it, man. You got to do it.
I mean, because where are you going to put the money? If you think about putting it in a savings account, there's basically no point of doing that. You getting what?
Yeah.
You put $10,000 in a savings account that whole year, they're gonna give you back $10.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make
inflation
sense.
doesn't beat inflation.
And if you see what they made off that $10,000,
they're doing the same thing we're doing. They're invested in stocks and real estate stuff. They're investing your money, so you might as well invest your own money.
The fact that you're thinking that way is brilliant. But I do want to stop right there and just talk about stocks. How'd you learn about stocks, man? Like, cause like a lot of times people think it's so complicated. It's so it's a real method to it. And really, there's some strategies, but ain't no right or wrong.
It's not right or wrong, no. But there's some really simple ways of looking at it. I'm trying to think of who. If you really want to be honest, who really opened up my mind was Earn Your Leisure. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure podcast and Ian Dunlap, Market Mondays. They talk about stocks all the time. And not only that, my boy Brandon Randolph, man, he's been in stocks for a long time. He really breaks it down for me. And I can actually go and talk to him on a daily basis. So that really helps me tremendously. But the simplest form to me to follow with stocks, and this is how I started to begin with, just invest in great companies. Like don't try to get rich quick. Like if you want to sustain and make money for over the long term, just invest in Apple. Everybody uses Apple.
Right.
Invest in Microsoft. Like Google. I know Google's high. Facebook is kind of high. You know what I'm saying? Tesla. Those type of things. People that are changing their industries, that's who you should invest in.
And that's why I brought that question up, because really there's a lot of strategies you can get deep and analytical, and that's fine. Yep. At the end of the day, just go to a company that you know is growing and innovative and that's going to be there. So, you may go down 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. It ebbs and flows, but it's going to go up in the long term. That's one thing I want to stress, just as we having this conversation with our community about building wealth. You gotta do these type of things. You gotta put into some stocks, even if it's you think, oh man, I'm only can buy one stock of Apple, every year. Well, do it, man. Do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I guarantee you that one stock that you buy in Apple is going to give you way more than what you put into that bank.
Right. Exactly.
Guaranteed.
Exactly. And that's the thought process. Think about it. And then as that money builds, some of these stocks have dividends. So they're shelling out dividends. You can put it back in the stock, take it out, put it in other stocks. Yep. So, that money will build up, and you'll see even down the line how fast that money do build up. Mm-hmm. So I just want to encourage everybody.
But to touch on that, a lot of people can't do that because they can't deal with delayed gratification. Everybody wants like right now. If they don't see it happening right now, they're like, I'm taking my money out. They ain't doing nothing for me. But the stock game is a long-term game. For beginners, it should be like a long-term game for you.
Right.
Then like those other ways where you can day trade and stuff, where you can make money on a daily basis. But just hold it out. I promise you make it.
Let's come to you, John. So when it comes to that secondary income, you mentioned you got a lot of different cash flows. I mean, I'm not going to say all the ones I know. You can share, but I know you just, some of the things I hear, I'm like, bro, Really, man? Like, how you find this out? So, what do you think about secondary income? What are some sources for you that may be some good options for the people watching?
My thoughts on secondary income is a necessity. Obviously, with this past year, obviously it showed that depending on one source of income, it's setting yourself up for grand failure, especially your one unforeseen event away from being on the wrong side of the creek. A good stepping stone to second form of income, second stream of income. I'll always point towards real estate. It's I would say it's the most sustainable thing you can invest in, literally in the world.
Yeah.
Most of you millionaires created their wealth through real estate. It's as old as humanity goes back. Since the beginning of the hoarder and beginning of mankind, pretty much. Real estate, it's always going to be there, and there's also a limit and a lack to it.
Right.
So for me personally, I invest into the retail space. So I have a couple properties that I have some tenants in there that I lease out, and I'm also a super host on Airbnb as well. So I have 4 Airbnbs.
Okay. Are they all in Houston or what?
Yeah, they're all in Houston. The great thing not the great thing, the pandemic.
It's an opportunity.
It's a tale of two tales. There's a yin and yang to everything. But for those who are innovative and stay stuck with it through the tide, it's a great opportunity. A lot of people were traveling. I live in Houston, Texas. It's a city that attracted a lot of individuals in the heat of the pandemic while things were shut down. So a lot of my units, travel nurses or individuals who are working remote and they want to, experience life in some form of normality while everything was going on. They came to the Houston.
You go ahead and call it what it is. Y'all did not care about the pandemic out in Houston. Everybody, Atlanta, Houston, they did not care. Texas, Texas, Atlanta, and Florida, they did not care, bro.
That's trying to get that dollar.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
No, that's
real estate. I feel it's you can't miss, really.
You can't miss.
No, you can miss, of course. Nothing is guaranteed.
Just like everything else.
Yeah, exactly, but the margin of error, I would say it's much less in real estate as opposed to other ventures you can dive into.
I was hesitant to go into real estate at first. I just didn't understand it as much when I was in my early 20s. Everyone was encouraging me to do it, and I just didn't want to do it, man. But as I got into it, started to realize the value, especially in these certain hot markets in Denver where we are. There's all these hot markets. So, for me, I'm probably like a lot of other people. I was skeptical to get into real estate until I got into it and saw, man, what was I was missing out, man.
Yeah, for real. Imagine if we did that when we were 20, 21. Man.
It's crazy.
Especially taking advantage of the FHA loan.
Man.
That's how I feel like it's the biggest cheat code.
Man, to get you started.
3.5 down.
And then if you did that to get a multifamily instead of a single family,
that's what I wish I would have.
Man, if I would have known that stuff, bro.
Hold on, let's break that down because that's something I haven't heard before. You can use an FHA loan to get a multifamily.
Yep.
You kidding me, man?
Yes, bro.
So, oh my God.
It has to be 4 units or less. So anything above 4 units, 5 and above is considered commercial. So you get your triplex, a quadruplex, a duplex, and you use FHA loan as he's stating right there for 3.5%, which it definitely, you'll probably see a month or two of the standstill, but once that ball gets rolling, you should be set in a good position,
And what they call it, house hacking, like you live in one and you just rent out everything else. They're just paying for you. You live in the house for free.
You live in the house for free.
Man. See, that's why we having these conversations today, right? That's why we having this conversation, because when you have conversations, stuff like this come up. You know what I'm saying? And if we're in our communities, other communities, you're not having this conversation, you're never going to be privy to that knowledge. So, I already got my first home, so I can't do that. But for anybody else who's looking at that, man, looking at a first-time buyer, looking for an FHA loan, and, you have opportunity to get a duplex, quadplex. There it is. Down. It's free game right there.
I do believe, because you just stated that you have your first home, so you can no longer utilize the FHA loan. I do believe, and I'm not sure, it might be different state to state, but I believe, say for example, if you're an FHA loan, once you get that to 20% of your equity built up in there, you can refinance.
Yeah, because this could be your secondary house, and then you can make the other ones your primary, so then you can do the 3.5 again. For the first time,
interesting. So I've been putting 20% down for no reason, huh?
I mean, you got it out the way.
We hit on the retirement. Any other thoughts on that? Because with retirement, you got your 401k, you can get matched, at the end of the day, I also think about your life insurance. And I know a lot of people, that's another thing where people think it's scams.
Scamming, yep.
We think it's scams, but it's not. So the thing about your life insurance policy is you can have a life insurance that fully cover you, and then you can also have your retirement built into it. So, you have life insurance. Once you hit the age of 65, you can start to take some that value out of that.
That's whole life, right?
Whole life, exactly. Whole life. So, it's good to if you get the what is the term? Not partial, but
it's called the term life, right?
Term. If you get the term, you lock in your age at a young age, which is great. So if you're 25 and just go ahead and lock in that term, it locks in your age. So before you have any the health risk and things like that where they consider you high risk or your payments are higher. So lock in that age and you can convert that a little later until your whole life. And then they do have retirement built into that. So there's money in that. So it's not just, hey, once I die.
It's too late.
I get my people get the money. Right. Once you hit your retirement age, you can also have some money on top of your 401k, Social Security, your investments, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another form of retirement that I just challenge everybody to look into. Not only the 401k, but that life insurance as well.
Yeah, for sure. That life insurance is key, man. Because I see a lot of y'all out there doing those GoFundMes. You don't have to do those GoFundMes, man, for $30 a month. You can get that paid for ahead of time, man.
Right.
And even if y'all wanted to do that as a collective, one person sign up for it, and then y'all just pay him $10 a month or whatever. It's possible to get money. And not only that, not even just paying for the funeral, it gives your family like a head start, goes back into the wealth that we're talking about. Like if somebody's gonna die, it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Sorry for the harshness, but it's gonna happen. If you got a policy for $200,000, you know what I'm saying? That gives your family a huge head start.
I'd share a story, so I won't share her names, but I know someone had like $2-3 million life insurance policy. Grandfather passed away. They probably got $500,000 of it. Split amongst the kids. They took that, they bought a home, straight cash. Yeah. Didn't have to worry about mortgage. Sold the home probably a couple years ago, right before, this is when the housing market was going crazy here in Denver. So bought it probably 10 years ago, sold it 2 years ago, almost doubled up, took that money, bought another home, still don't have to pay down the mortgage. So then you got the extra $2,000 in your pocket, and then you can rent that place out. So then you plus another $2,000. Oh my gosh, man. The way it builds is like, you got to think bigger than just yourself, about your family and your legacy. Yeah. And so that life insurance, at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things you can have. And it is one of the first things that goes away when people hit hardships. Yep. Let me get rid of this. That's the thing. People think it's a scam. I would say the scam.
On you to do that.
That's the scam. Yes. If you all of a sudden stop paying, you forfeited everything.
All of it.
So you got to keep paying for it.
Betting on you not to do
Yeah. So if you keep paying for it, there's no scam.
Yes.
So make sure to hold on to that because you'll hate to put all that money in, 20 years from now, and then you can't afford it or whatever it is. You forfeit all that money. It's like, no, you got to pay into it. So again, that's just knowledge. Understanding it a little bit. I understand why people can think it's a scam, but you got to know, what I'm saying? You understand it, then you can play the game. Yeah, you can set up a legacy for your family.
Learn how to play the game.
All right, well, with this, we talked a lot about, different flows of income, pretty serious stuff here, but I want to make it a little light. What are some fun options? What's a good secondary option? Pull up podcasts. We know all we do is talk about real conversations with real people, but let's have that conversation pivot a little bit on just what are some of the fun things that you are invested in. So right now we got a podcast. This is something that we just want to share and have a good time with. But we're gonna do our thing.
We're gonna try to make money.
We're gonna try to do our things. Just
being real with
you. You get to that fifth income. At that time or sources of income. At this time, we're just trying to find ways. We did the serious stuff that people may think is boring. Got to do those things, man. Now it's time to have fun. Let's start a podcast. Let's start something together. My wife started a baking company. What I'm saying? She loved to bake. And that's how she got her little fun thing going for her. So any fun things that you guys got lined up, or any creative things you guys got up your sleeve?
My fun thing would be e-commerce. And shout out to my boy Michael Rackpo. I can't remember the name, but e-commerce. Forgive me, my dog. But check out Michael Rackpo for the e-commerce. But shoot, I'm on there. I'm selling like bedding. I'm selling like like lounge pillow type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Cozy stuff.
Yeah.
To me, because it's just something I'm not really expecting. I don't put too much time in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to me because I can kind of pick and choose kind of what I want into my store.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm a store owner, type of thing.
But
so
that's the freedom, though. You got the freedom. Once you do the right things, you got freedom to do whatever you want. You know, I mean, there's no right or wrong way. You can start off
e-commerce automate. That's what it is.
E-commerce automate. Okay.
Check it out.
You know, check it out for real. But you know, you gave yourself the freedom, the autonomy to be able to do that by making some good investments.
Well, I think it's important to point out, like you said earlier, you know, you want to definitely initially, you know, get that solid foundation underneath you that allows you the leeway to, you know, dive into a little bit more of things that are of your personal interest, as opposed to what's the business decision to go with. So for me personally, that for me, that would be helping individuals around me, you know, whether it's somebody starting up a beauty shop, or I have a friend of mine that just started a lawn care service, you know, investing into that. Of course, you know, as an investor in business, you invest in things to make money. But, you know, for those people around me, I try to have a light hand on, you know, what I'm expecting as far as a kickback.
Gotcha.
I do it from, you know, try to do it from a goodness standpoint.
Right.
You know, I also, it's not just being a silent partner. I'm also, you know, tapping in with them every now and then and seeing how things are going, how things are developing, if there's any thoughts or connection of mine or experience of mine that can help, you know, make that be a successful pursuit for them. So,
yeah.
With that being said, I'll definitely err and warn to those, you know, investment people that you know are serious, you know.
Right.
You want to help everybody can't be helped.
Yeah.
Have you done it before?
Investing into individuals
that didn't work out. It was just
wasted.
Yeah.
I love what you said, man, because you said helping others, you know, and that's the big thing is when you do all the things right, you know, you got your whole strategy set up. You can afford to help people and don't have to have that tight grip on them, you know, because you know you already set up with your second, third, fourth income and revenue, this returning residual income, where you can take a little bit of higher risk. Where let me help this person out. Although I hear you saying it, I hear you say, you know, proceed with caution. You know, just don't invest in just anybody. But you know, at the end of the day, you know that there's a risk that you may not get that return. But and that's solid right there.
That's all
man.
business.
For me, you know, one of the things I enjoy doing is, you know, we already talked about it, is stocks. And so I have all sorts of different stocks, man. I have my primary stocks that I get through the company. I got my long-term stocks that I just continue to feed in to hedge some of the more risky stocks I make. And then I got the risky stocks that I make. And the risky stocks are all funded by my third, fourth, fifth stream of income. Yeah. So I'm able to make some of those risky decisions. So
it makes it more fun that way, right?
Make it more fun.
You can play with it.
You can play with it a little bit. So for me, you know, I enjoy that, man. So, you know, one of the fun things I do is actually invest in stocks. I just put it in kind of I compartmentalize it a little different. So that's what I do. And also we got this podcast, obviously. Yeah. So, you know, it's something that's fun to do, something to give back.
Pull up.
In
case you didn't know.
Yeah. So, you know, it's something that we enjoy doing, but, you know, this is something else I can do, you know, what we can do, you know, just on our free time because we already built ourselves up. So. Yeah. All right, man. So I'm going to read off a little quote to y'all fellas, what I wrote down. And just want to get y'all thoughts on this. What I wrote down is the way I look at building wealth is by building knowledge. The more I listen and learn from others and find ways to grow, the more opportunities begin to present themselves. So, you know, one of the things, the goal of this conversation is for us to have that conversation, real conversations that we have where we can learn from each other. Right. So I always chop it up is learn from a good group of fellas or women or whoever it is. Learn from a good group of people, man. And that's where I honestly have really developed a lot by learning from you fellas. Either books, there's podcasts, there's all sorts of different things. So what are some of the resources that people can use that could help them out become more knowledgeable when it comes to building wealth?
The easy way for me is podcast, just because you can just listen to it throughout the day, driving. It replaces my music. You know what I'm saying? So I listen to Earn Your Leisure.
Dope.
I listen to Social Proof with David Sands. I also listen to different podcasts within the industry that I'm in now as far as moving goes, just because I'm always trying to learn and grow. Books that I read, Jewish Phenomenon. It's a good book. It teaches you how the others have been getting money. Yes, have been getting it for a while. Yep, just trying to learn how to play the game. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Those are my favorite. I think we talked about Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad is a good one. Classic.
Really good classic book if you want to start out just trying to learning the basis of investing and where it all comes from. Just the mindset of it all. Because in the beginning, that's all it is your mindset. You got to change you first before you start trying to do other things.
Right. What about you, John? Any other books that you recommend? Any podcasts?
I listen to podcasts, like you said, Earn Your Leisure. I would say that's probably number one podcast I listen to outside of real estate podcasts. Bigger Pockets.
That's good.
Bigger Pockets. I read a lot of books. I'm an avid reader. I try to read at least a passage or a substantial amount each and every day.
Yeah.
Financial books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. Those are, pedestals of financial literacy books. Also, Rich Man of Babylon. That's a great book. It's in a storytell format, so it's easy to follow along. You see the triumphs and rallies of the main character. He swindles a great fortune that he received from his father. Had to start from scratch. He was sold as a slave, paid to free himself. And still throughout that was still able to, in the end, mass up a fortune through the knowledge that he learned from all of those pitfalls and different experiences, which is relative, I feel, to almost everybody. There's always going to be ups and downs. You can look at those trial times as a lesson learned that can be implemented, and you store it in your mental Rolodex so you never make that same mistake again.
Right.
That's from my study of great individuals. That's how they all got there.
Because we all make mistakes. We all take losses. You just gotta learn from them. That's the key. That's how you grow. That's how you get to where you want to get to. Yes, it's not going to be a smooth path whatsoever. We talk about all this stuff as far as investing and stuff we like to do and stuff like that, but as if it's easy, and it's not easy. We're not telling you it's easy, but you should do it.
Right.
That's for sure.
And when you do it right, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Right. This is all the keys, man. This is what we're trying to do. The whole point of this Pull Up podcast, again, is to pull people up. Yep. We're going to pull people up, and then our homies we're going to pull up, and we're going to have this conversation. So when it comes to it, man, everybody just take something from it. Even if y'all take 1 or 2 books, 1 or 2 podcasts, just try to take something from it. This is all for us, man, because we don't have these conversations in our community. So this is just you guys being a fly on the wall. So I hope you guys can take this and have these type of conversations with whoever your groups are and continue to just build each other up and pull everybody up. All right, let's end on my favorite part of the podcast. This is one of my favorite segments where we get the opportunity to talk about past mistakes, things you'll tell your old self. So I want you fellas to answer 3 questions.
Yep.
Number 1, what's your best investment? Yep. Number 2, what's your worst investment? And number 3, advice that you will give your younger self.
Best investment was investing in the home that I live in now. It's my primary residence, but the way the housing market is here in Denver is it's done well for me. But I also wish I would have done it earlier, but hey, I'm in it now. The worst one I would say would be investing in stocks that I really didn't know about, trying to get rich real quick. You know what I'm saying? Just reading articles, just really thinking, hey, and it was really cheap. So like if I put such and such in it, it's gonna blow up. I'm gonna be 200,000 in 2 days type thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it just didn't make any sense. So do your research behind that type of stuff. And then what I would tell my younger self is like when I got out of college, people were telling me about life insurance. I wasn't listening to them, but I wish I would have done it then because it would have been way cheaper and it would have set me up a lot better where I am now, for sure.
I would say a property, but I want to, I guess, go a different route than what Marcus just said.
But property, real estate.
Yeah, property, you can't go wrong with it. I just want to spin off with something different. I would say really just my knowledge. Like you said, the more knowledge and wisdom you gain, whether it's in your specific field or just the overall spectrum of life, it's going to be, pay endless dividends in your personal relationships and your profession.
You almost can't quantify it, to be honest.
You can't at all.
You got to do it to understand. You just got to do it to understand.
So I would definitely say just reading books, podcasts, even like say, for example, real estate. I follow Flip Mastery TV, which is one of the top wholesale channels on YouTube. And I pay for a special subscription on there to get special notes, access to his website. He had different systems set up on there where you can get information to the market and stuff like that the average person that's not paying for that subscription doesn't have. You have forms on there, you have contracts that you have access to on there for paying for that subscription. I really just learned to pay for your knowledge because it's going to pay you back. Like, for example, YouTube. I always joke around saying YouTube University. I pay for a premium YouTube account so I can download YouTube videos when I'm traveling, when I'm on a plane. I'm watching YouTube videos. As I was flying out here for this podcast, I'm watching YouTube videos the entire time, As I'm hopping in the shower, I'm listening to YouTube videos. Going off of worst investment, get into entangled with individuals that are more relating to your past than your future. You know,
Well said.
as you turn and transition into, you know, adulthood and doing what's best for you, your future, and for your loved ones, there's going to be some sacrifices that you have to make. And a lot of time that's elevating your inner circle. Because no matter who you are as a human being, you can be the strongest willed person to the sheep of all sheep that's just following the crowd. Like, what your environment that you're in is going to have some element and some aspect influence over you. So definitely be just cautious, becoming more cautious of that. And what's the third question again?
Advice for your younger self.
Advice from my younger self, it kind of spirals back to my first answer is knowledge, education, man. Just I wish I could go back and tell myself to start reading books from a young age, because it's unreal. It's like once you really, like, literally one book can change your life. Like, right. No joke. It sounds cliche, but it's the truth. Like, one book can literally spark a thought in your mind that changes everything around you.
What's the old saying goes? If you want to hide $1 from a brother, put it in the book.
It's sad, but
it's sad, but it's true. Like, it's so much knowledge in those books.
Yeah. Man, that's solid right there, man. That's really good jewels right there. For me, I would say my best investment, you know, will also be real estate. We bought around the same time, but just to say something a little different, man, is just I think my best investment was just into myself, you know, school, knowledge, being around the right people. I think, again, you say you can't quantify any of those things. It's just the people I've been around and the conversations I've been privy to, man, just allowed me to be the person I am today. And so for me, I think that's the best investment. And it goes back to the quote I said, the way I build wealth is by building knowledge. So the more I seek knowledge, the more wealth that I see follows behind it. So for me, I think that's the best investment I have for myself. As far as worst investment, stocks. You know, putting too much money in the stock market, man. You know, get rich quick scheme, didn't work out, lost it all. I almost literally had to pay a debt to the stock market. I'm not lying, man. Like, I lost everything. I had to think, what happens when you go behind? What you don't know? Like, yeah, man. So that was my worst investment. And advice to my younger self was just to buy real estate earlier. I was a little hard-headed, bullheaded, thought I knew everything. Had some success early on. So, you know, I just didn't understand real estate. Since I didn't get it, I just thought it was stupid. And so I realized that, no, that was me being bullheaded. I had to be open-minded, got around some people who were doing it. And I realized it's one of the best investments that you can do. So for me, you know, those are the three things for me. So with that being said, fellas, I appreciate all the advice and everything that you guys gave today. Again, this is the Pull Up Podcast, and we're just going to have real organic conversations all day. Let us know what you guys want to hear, and we're going to talk about it. Yeah. So, all right, man. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Like, subscribe, comment, and below.
Thanks. Please do.
Yes, sir. Let's go.